يَسْأَلُهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Everyone and everything, actually, in this ayah, everyone is begging Allah, is pleading to Allah for something or another. In the skies and the earth. فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Who's taking care of the angels? Who's taking care of the jinn? Not just the human beings. Who's taking care of all the creatures of Allah in the skies and in the earth? They all need something from Him to continue to survive. Every one of our lives depends on Allah. You know, recently I met some people whose family was on life support. They were in the isolation ward, and their family member was on life support. And that basically means now their heart and their lungs are being pumped into by a machine. Their lungs don't function on their own. And as soon as you take them off the machine, they're basically dead. And it made me realize something. We're all on life support. Nobody's not on life support. My heart's not beating on its own. Like, the doctor makes you feel like this machine is making this heart beat. If it was a healthy heart, it would have been beating on its own. Actually, it's never beating on its own. Allah is providing every next beat. Allah is providing every next breath. SubhanAllah. Like, that's how we are alive, because of Al-Hayy. And that's constant caretaking. Nothing is automatic. Nothing is automatic. Every single one of these is an active decision by Allah. Every one of them. Allah didn't create something and just let it go. You know, we think of it like that. You know, you can create a machine like a watch, right? And you wound it up and it's running on its own. Now the manufacturer doesn't have to keep over the watch. It's just running its time, its course. So long as the battery is there, or so long as the wind-up is there, it'll keep running. Allah didn't create us that way. We're not on automatic. We're caught every second of our existence, every cell of our existence, every subatomic particle of our existence is constantly being maintained by Allah. Constantly being maintained. وَلَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ. There's not a leaf that falls that Allah is not maintaining. So كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Every single day He is involved in something or another. So these two statements now, just to summarize, we have to get through 9, I know. But these two statements so far, what have they done? They've brought me two things. They've made me appreciate Allah as someone that is the object of my love, who I'm going to find peace and contentment in. They've also given me reassurance that Allah is living, and that He's the reason I'm alive, and that He's going to take care of me and never abandon me, because He takes care in ways that nobody else can. You know? And anybody else in His place would have been exhausted or burnt out by now. لَا تَأْخُذُهُ سِنَةٌ وَلَا نَوْمٌ. But now with that closeness to Allah, the beauty of Qur'an is, first He brings you close. Then He puts you at a distance. Then He brings you close. Then He puts you at a distance. Now why would Allah put you at a distance? That sounds bad. No, it's not bad. Because there are two dimensions of my relationship with Allah. One dimension of my relationship with Allah is how close I must be with Him. The other dimension of my relationship with Allah is recognizing how far above me He is. How much more superior to myself He is. You know, Allah to us is the king, but Allah to us is also the best friend. Isn't He? And the relationship He has with me as my king, as my ruler, is different from the relationship He has with me as my friend. A friend is someone you keep close. You can talk to anything about your friend, about anything to your friend. You can turn to your friend whenever you want. You complain to your friend. You cry to your friend. That's what you do with your friend. Do you chill with your king, your ruler? Do you just, hey, I want to talk to you about something personal? When you're in the presence of a king, you're in awe. You're reserved. You're humbled. You're scared. You recognize the authority. That's a relationship of distance, isn't it? Now the thing is, the closest analogy to this, because we don't live in a kingdom, so we don't have that kind of situation, but I'll give you another analogy. The classroom, the teacher and students. A teacher has to walk a fine line between being a friend and an authority. If a teacher is constantly a friend, students will eat him or her alive. They will listen to nothing. I've tried it. I used to teach kids and I was a nice guy. It didn't work out. We don't want authority, we want friend. You see? If I give too much friend, what happens? I lose what? I lose authority. If I give too much authority, then the only relationship left is fear, and I lose them as a friend. And if I want my students to be motivated and to feel like they can talk to me about their problems and to connect with me, then I do want them to respect my authority, but at the same time I do need to be their friend. That's the nature of a healthy relationship because it requires both. Now let's understand what Allah Azza wa Jalla is to us, who He is to us. On the one hand, there's no one closer to us than Allah. But if that's all there is, then you get like a little out of hand. Then people just feel like they can just talk to Allah like they're talking to anybody. Hey, that's Allah you're talking to. You've got to maintain who He is. Our closeness to Him, our intimacy with Him, our relation, our loving bond and relationship with Him is there, but our awe of Him cannot go away. Our awe of Him cannot go away. You know, the Christians have had this problem for a long time, especially the Catholics, because in Catholicism, the grandeur of God was very important. So if you look at the Lord's Prayer, for instance, it's very formal in its language. And the Catholic Church decided a few years ago that they wanted to redo the Lord's Prayer to make it more relatable, to bring God closer. And the big debate among the clergy was, no, if you do that, then you're making God too casual. You're bringing Him too close. They can't, the text is either going to declare Him as this authority or a friend. What does Quran do? It's so beautiful. Brings you close. And before you get too chummy, listen, you're dealing with Allah. لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. He alone owns whatever is in the skies and whatever is in the earth. Think about what He just did. Someone loving, ilah, someone who's alive and takes care, qayyum, that could be anybody. And that could be someone above you and below you, actually. For example, if I were to put this in perspective for you, someone takes care of a garden, and they're very careful about every flower. Does that necessarily mean that they are the owner of that garden? Could it be just a gardener who's been hired? Could be, right? Someone who takes care of a child. Does it necessarily mean they're the parent, or could it also be a nanny, somebody hired? Could be. Just because you're a qayyum doesn't mean you're an authority. It doesn't. It just means you take care. You provide love, you take care, but now you're not in a position of authority. What does Allah do? Allah takes care of what things? Everything that He owns. See, instead of saying He takes care of everything, He let us know everything that exists is actually His own, personal, uniquely His own property. He alone owns whatever lies in the skies and whatever lies in the earth. I will leave a gap here that we'll fulfill later, but I want to create that gap in your minds. Just because you own what is in the house doesn't mean you own the house. Think about it. If you own what is inside the house, does that mean you own the house? Aren't there people who rent a house? And they own what is inside the house, but they don't own what? They don't own the house. They don't own the house, So you have now Allah declaring whatever's in the skies and the earth, He owns. But that doesn't include the skies and the earth. It just includes whatever is inside the skies and the earth. So seems to be a gap. What about His ownership? Lahu as-samawatu wal-ard. The skies and the earth belong to Him. Actually, He'll solve that a little later when He says, وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ as-samawati wal-ard. In case you were wondering. Well, first He says, whatever's inside it is mine. And by the way, the opposite is also true, isn't it? Just because you own a house doesn't mean everything inside the house is yours. No. Because you own something doesn't mean you own what is inside it. And just because you own what is inside doesn't mean you own the thing. There's the inside and the outside. What does Allah do in this ayah? In the first part of it, He says, whatever's inside is mine. And then later on He'll say, by the way, the whole thing's mine. Inside and out. لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And later on, وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. You with me so far? Okay. So now, about this ownership. وَهُنَاكَ فَرْقٌ بَيْنَ مَنْ يَقُومُ عَلَى مُلْكِهِ وَمَنْ يَقُومُ عَلَى مُلْكِ غَيْرِهِ. Amazing. There's a difference between someone who takes care of what they own and someone who takes care of somebody else's property. I'm asked, for example, to take care of a project that I started. I'm responsible to take care of a project that I started. I will take care of it a certain way. If I ask somebody else, could you take care of this for me? Will they bring the same passion, dedication, energy, enthusiasm, know-how even to that same project? Nope. The way you take care of your own house, is somebody else going to ever take care of your house that way? the way you take care of your car, the way you take care of your kids. Can anyone else take care of your kids that way? The way you take Allah says He's the caretaker. Then He let us know that everything He takes care of actually also belongs to Him. So the care He brings to it is the care of an owner. Not care of like it belongs to somebody else, I don't care about it. It's His own. So He brings this personal care to it. فَهَذَا الْأَخِيرُ قَدْ يَغْفَلْ عَنْ مُلْكِ غَيْرِهِ أَمَّا الَّذِي يَقُومُ عَلَى مُلْكِهِ لَا يَغْفَلْ وَلَا يَنَامُ وَلَا تَأْخُذُهُ سِنَةٌ وَلَا نَوْمٌ سُبْحَانَهُ. The one who takes care of somebody else's property could become neglectful. There are people who rent a house, don't take care of it, destroy it actually. They don't care. Or you go to a hotel room, that's okay, the cleaning crew will come. Let me make as much of a mess as I possibly can. Who cares? Blast the AC. So what if the whole thing shuts down? The opposite needs to be understood too. Is it true that you really care to take care of everything that you own? I mean, go inside your house. There are lots of things that you own that you don't care for. That you haven't maintained, even looked at for ages. Just open your fridge. There's stuff there from the dinosaur age. There are things you overlook. You own it, but you don't care. You don't care. Allah is letting us know He's a unique owner. Everything He owns, He cares for. And He doesn't just casually care for. Al-Qa'im, Al-Qayyum. He goes out of His way to take care of it. He goes out of His way to take care of what He owns. What happens with us, by the way, is let's just say you have two cars. One really nice car and one old car. Which one are you going to take care of? Nice one. Because, it brings you more benefit. It's a nicer car. It's more expensive. What is more use to you? What is more valuable to you? What brings you more joy, benefit, will get more of your attention. And things that don't, won't. Imagine if Allah worked that way. The slaves that worship Him, take care of His requirements, do as He says, He takes care of them. And the ones who forget about Him, He says, well, you forgot about me, I'll forget about you. He's Al-Qayyum, over everything that He owns in the skies and the earth. So now, this statement also, we shouldn't overlook it. Skies and earth. I want you to just think about what has been said. He owns everything in the skies and the earth. Now that we're in this day and age, we are more familiar with this phrase than perhaps ever in history. We know now how insignificant this planet is in comparison to the universe. We don't even amount to a speck in comparison to what Allah calls the skies. If Allah just said the skies or the universe, the earth is included. The earth is included. But He goes out of His way to highlight of all this infinite vast space that He maintains and takes care of, that He owns entirely, and He owns every planet, every galaxy, every star, every black hole, all of it He owns. But then He goes out of His way to say, and I particularly own everything on the earth. He didn't highlight the moon, the sun, He didn't highlight He highlighted the earth. And the reason He highlighted the earth is because this relationship began with love. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa. Allah is now letting us know that He has expressed a special form of His care and His love. And He's brought life onto this earth like He brought nowhere else. And He brought attention to this earth like He brought nowhere else. He maintains the entire sky, and especially the earth, I would argue. The mention of the earth here is significant. Compared to the universe, it's nothing, and yet Allah goes out of His way to take care of it. In the way that He does to go through here.